everyone. I hope everyone had a good weekend and everybody is relaxed and ready to work. So today in my ASMR mukbang, I'm going to talk about the year 1979. 1979 was a change in my life and in politics and in pop culture. Have a little bit of a drink of water here. That's good. And I made myself a pizza, of course. Don't worry, I eat other products as well. Macaroni, spaghetti, Chinese food, but I will get to that. Just been a couple days, been kind of running around here and there. There we go. I just finished watching an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer called Out of Mind and Out of Sight from the first season, 1997. But tonight I'm going to focus on 1979. One other thing about 1979 is watching the Dukes of Hazzards, and I was probably about 4 or 5 years old when it came out at the time, and it had that cool orange car with number 1 on the side. On the side, and it could fly. And you had Bo, Luke, Daisy, and Uncle Jesse, Roscoe Pico Train, and Boss Hogg. It was a very cool show from its time. And when I was hanging out with my cousins, we would always play with some kind of Hot Wheels, and we had a little Dukes of Hazzard cars. I think everybody that I knew growing up had a little Dukes of Hazzard card, which was always fun to have and to play with. And so it was a cool show for its time. And it was in the country, and when I was growing up, I lived in the country in a small town of 2,500 people, and I'm not going to tell you where I lived. I do recall growing up in the 70s, lots of big cars. Cadillacs, Granvilles, Oldsmobile. I remember my grandpa used to drive a Jeep Cherokee, and the stories were from my grandpa. He didn't really like that Jeep. It was a gas guzzler. It's a nice Jeep. When I was growing up, I always loved cars. The 1950s, the 1960s, 1960s and 70s. I wasn't too crazy about the 90s cars because they look so much like plastic. Not really worth driving to begin with. But my dad, before I was born, used to drive a Volkswagen, a green Volkswagen. In 1979 was also the year that I started going to elementary, and I did not speak a word of French. I was taught to speak English in my house because my dad spoke English and my mom spoke French. So, I spoke English until I went to the first day of Oh, sorry. Let me correct that. Not elementary, kindergarten. Excuse me. I remember how small the class was. Though we were about 30 children in that class. I remember my teacher having posters. Excuse me. I remember my teacher having posters of a boy named Denny. And once a day, she would take those posters and talk about what Denny would do on his daily agenda, like brushing his teeth, or going to sleep, or having a glass of juice. I remember also she had rabbits and stars on the chalkboard so we could learn how to count. We would sing songs, we would learn how to count, and sometimes learn a little bit of the alphabet. In the afternoon, we would all get a little glass of Kool-Aid and a couple of biscuits, and then had to put our heads on our desk and get a little nap. She was a very good teacher, a lot of patience, and always kept a smile on her face. Those are the days of 1979. Things were so different back then. We had to learn everything in the chalkboard, use chalk, and lots of bright colors in the 70s. Green, dark red, dark blue, gray, and sometimes on Fridays we would take this wax paper and put some paints on our hands and just put the paint on it and then get creative. And then around 2:30, my dad would come and pick me up and take me home. One story also from kindergarten is that the kindergarten was under the church and they always smelled the pine sol. was a kid, everything was so big, and the doors looked so big. Even though I would go back home to New Brunswick, when going to the church, the doors still feel heavy. Nothing's changed. I remember as a kid, when I was a class, I would sing Frère Jacques or Pomme de Renette or Au clair de la lune. One thing that I want to talk about is somebody I don't remember, but just mostly in the late '90s was Margaret Thatcher from the UK, the first female prime minister, and it was big because you had to remember Canada was still part of the UK. Or in better off words, the Queen still owned Canada. I don't remember much of Margaret Thatcher in those early years. It's only the mid 80s till the early 90s that I remember Margaret Thatcher. We all have memories of what we have of our past. Some are special, and some of them we should not share. But I decided to share what I remember, what's important, and what is special to my heart. So, I am done for tonight. I just want to say, if you like my video, press like and also subscribe. And I'll be here in the next 2 days. Have a good night, guys.